Welcome to Heal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey guys, real quick, before we jump into the episode, I need you to do the 3 S's for me. What is that? First of all, I need you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss an episode of our podcast. Number 2, I need you to share it with your family and friends. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else. Lastly, I need you to say something. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see from us, what you like, what you don't like. We are open to your suggestions. We want to know everything that you want to let us know about the podcast. All right. Now, get back to the episode. All right. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to our podcast on all of your podcast listening platforms, as well as make sure that you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you will find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which is our sister podcast, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, which you are listening to and or watching right now. So, man, again, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you will find the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as some other podcasts that we have there, and that some other ones that we have to come. So we are going to be producing some new podcasts in the near future. So you don't want to miss any of them. So make sure you guys go to Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube to check out our YouTube channel. Also, we're proud to announce that our podcast is being brought to you by our Deal to Heal School for Living, which is our new platform, platform on the school platform, where we bring you resources and workshops in order to help you, again, to deal, heal, and fulfill, to push that mission even more. The first 7 days is absolutely free, so you guys can go there and check it out. The link will be in the description, or you could just scan the QR code in the upper corner of the podcast if you are watching it. Again, that's the Deal to Heal School for Living. We're very proud of that. To be able to bring you some more resources and workshops to help you on your healing and purpose for fulfillment journey. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest, Miss Ling Lee. How are you doing?
Hi, Ernest. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, no problem. First of all, I want to say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else or anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. So do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am Ling Lei, and I am the owner of The Path to Inner Peace. It's my healing and coaching business based in Visalia, California, in Central Valley. What I do, so I am a spiritual guide, an energy healer, and practitioner in the ancient mystery school lineage, the lineage of King Solomon, through the modern mystery school. And what I do is I help people, and I call them purpose seekers. So people who maybe they've created a good life for themselves in many ways, but they still feel like something's missing within here. So I call them purpose seekers. And I help purpose seekers overcome self-doubt and inner conflicts so that they can create a fulfilling and purposeful life, and doing that with those that they love.
I love it. I love it. So let's jump right into this thing. So one of the things that I know that usually there is a not usually but pretty much always there's a story before the story, right? There's a story that you have that's a part of your life that we usually have before we get into the work that we do. So it's like a journey that we take. So who was Ling the earlier parts before you started doing the work that you do, and what was that initial event, should I say, that even transformed your life that made you say, you know what, now I'm going to spend my life helping others to come to that same transition.
Yeah, so ever since I was little, I'd always felt like I was here for a reason. I always felt like life is supposed to be a gift, supposed to be a joy. And again, I was here for a reason. And obviously, I didn't know what that was, as a little child. But what happened also is, even though inside I had all that knowing,
Mhm.
what I noticed, what I observed outside is that people around me weren't very happy. They had a lot of misery going around, and so it was really hard to reconcile those two parts, right? There's the inner reality and then there's the outer reality, right? And obviously as a kid it was hard to like have the tools to really know how to work with them. And so because I've always known I was here for a reason, I would always like try, like it was always been really into self help and personal development. I knew that if I wanted to help people I first have to help myself. So I was really into that throughout college, like even after college. And I usually tell my clients that, I've tried everything. I was like development junkie. I was really into planning my life. Nothing much really came from it, but I was obsessed with those things. I used to do therapy before it was cool, because back in the day, if you told people that
Right.
they would be like, you're crazy, right? Versus now everybody's doing it. So that's kind of like who I was. It was kind of always taking like the different route, I guess. And then, but it was kind of still kind of dilly dallying. Like, okay, well, I'm not really wasn't able to find something that really clicked. Like a few things helped, but
Mhm.
nothing really clicked. And then within our family, within our greater family, we had a sudden loss of a family member. I mean, what was supposed to be a birth turned into, you know, passing away. And
Mhm.
so I think when you kind of come face to face with birth and death, or life and death in that way, it really changed something in the core of you. And one of the lessons that I learned is, okay, I don't want to waste my time anymore.
Right.
I don't want to just kind of keep dilly dallying. Like I want to find something that really works, that can help me help myself, and that can help me help other people. And so almost like an energetically, I put my foot down that day and I said, okay, first, again, I want to help myself. But second, I also want to be a strong pillar for my family, so that I can be solid for them as well. And then I put, like, I really committed to that within me. And then in the months that follow, it was just really kind of following the breadcrumbs, of what's to come. And then a few months after, I was almost kind of like, it's long story short, I had like a spiritual awakening, and like, oh my gosh, there is more to life. And then I found a modern mystery school guide in San Francisco. That's where I used to live. And then I just came into her office. I did not understand what she was saying, but I thought to myself, well, whatever she's offering, I'll try it, because I tried everything else. This could help me. And I did. And then 3 months later, I got I got the live activation session. I did Empower Thyself class. And then 3 months later, I remember waking up and really knowing deep within me that I am forever changed. I am a different person. I was a different person. And that peace that I felt within, I realized that who I was, if I could feel this peace within and this level of healing within, I want to be able to share that with other people. So in that moment, again, I made that, commitment to do what it takes to be able to share these tools with others. And that was 6, 7 years ago.
I love that. I love that. And
I
you
was
you
a
said
software
something.
engineer before, and I mean, still am, but in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. You said something that I connect with that I talk a lot about myself. And you talked about following the breadcrumbs,
Mm-hmm.
kind of finding your purpose. And I always say that purpose leaves clues, right? And a lot of time in the middle of whatever that you're going through, you don't recognize it. But when you come in contact with your purpose, you're able to actually look back on your life and you can see little things that happen throughout your life that, like I said, in the midst of it, you didn't recognize that that's what it was. But now that you found your purpose, you can see those little things that was like, oh, it was there all the time. You know what I mean? That purpose was showing itself all the time, and you just hadn't recognized it yet. So I love that you said that. And another thing you talked about was peace and finding that inner peace, and I think that's very important, especially with just those of us who have came through some things where peace we couldn't find peace. And definitely I've shared my story, plenty of times on the podcast of dealing with depression and all of that and having suicidal ideations. And so even myself, to come to a space where I have found that inner peace just within myself and within my life has definitely been a game changer for me. And so on your journey or on the journey of those who you help, how important is it to find that inner peace, and kind of what is the key for others to kind of find that they're looking for?
Yeah. So I think some people think that peace means sipping margarita on a beach or like a beach in Cancun, right? Like I think that's kind of what some people. Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
so stressed out. I'm just gonna go on vacation. Well, that's not. I mean, yeah, that could be peaceful, right? But that's not really what
Mhm.
true inner peace is. How I usually describe it to my clients is, if you have steadiness and stability and inner peace within you, you're like the eye in the middle of the storm. And so everything around you could be all just going haywire, but
Yeah.
you're in the middle with the clarity and with the structure, with the stability that is needed to really be able to navigate through the situation without collapsing.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of inner peace, right? So you can say that's a manifestation of inner peace. But what is a key to creating inner peace? Well, it's not about, taking a break. It's not about having vacation. It's about so let's say if we make it a bit like simplify a little bit. So let's say if this is who you really are. Usually when you were born, as a child, you were the closest to the divine, right? You were closest to God, a higher power. It's kind of like a blank paper. And
Hmm.
then as you go through life, you learn more about, like what you need to do, who you need to be accepted, to belong. Maybe you pick up hurts and pains and traumas along the way. So you start putting on masks, putting on beliefs to help you survive in the world. And so you start becoming, you could say, like, not become it, but you start kind of almost like be, becoming this aspect of you that's kind of like right here, versus this is who you really are. And so your stress is actually caused by this gap. There's who you really are in your divinity, and then there's who you show up as in society and also in your relationships. And so the greater the gap, the more stressful you're going to be. And so the true key to inner peace is to close this gap so that you are you're in your light, you're you in all situations. And to close this gap, it's about doing what you're meant to do every day, and just continue taking the consistent actions towards what it is that you need to be doing. And that's part of fulfilling your purpose. And so you have true inner peace when you're taking actions to fulfill your purpose every day. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're there. It doesn't mean you get
Right.
to your goals, but it's more so it's that everyday um, progression.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's definitely the key to it is it's not a destination. Like you never get there, because there's no there. It's the
Oh,
it's the
can
it's the
get there,
journey.
but the moment you get there, like, and this is how you know life is good, right? Because sometimes people get there and then they realize, oh, this is not where I want to be, right? Or they get there and then they get comfortable. But truly, like when you are walking a path of purpose, when you
Yeah.
get there with your goals, well, guess what? More goals open up. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's more. When you climb a mountain, oh my gosh, there's another mountain. And so in that way, you don't get there, but you do, right? You just it's just that your purpose starts to expand.
Right.
Like what I thought my purpose was 6 years ago is different, now, but it's the same path. It's just gotten
Yes.
refined.
Yes, and that's exactly what I meant. It's like there isn't a final destination. It's just another plateau, or another point of that same journey. And you go on that journey, and when you reach where you think you're supposed to be, and then you realize again, there's more. There's more to do, and more to,
And that's so
especially
fun.
if you're in the spaces of helping people, and being of service to others, which I think is the foundation of who we are. Um, there's always more to do, and there's always another version or another application that goes along with that. And I love how you explained it as, the farther you get from, who you really are, and that's in that loop, should I say, is where the stresses of life live, and the turmoil and all the things that you're dealing with kind of lives in that loop. And when you can close that loop back, that's when you have that inner peace start to kick in, and finding your purpose. I really love that. Is there a way, once we kind of recognize that, and kind of get on that journey of closing that loop, on the journey of, let me kind of get back to source, and get back to, where I came from, and knowing who I really am. Is there a process, sort of say, that can help us along that journey once we get started? I think the first part is even to recognize, like, okay, let me find out who I was, and I'm meant to be, not who I'm becoming because of the stresses of life, but who did God create me to be when He first decided to create me. And then once we get to that uh, realization, then is there actually a path or a way for us to kind of start working our way to closing that gap?
Yes, yes, there is a way. Well, so first of all, I think one key things that is important for those that want to live the purpose,
Mhm.
to recognize and accept, is that you need external support. Right. I think sometimes those who are really ambitious in what they want to do, like, they just want to do, especially maybe our generation, my generation, like, they kind of want to DIY everything. You have ChatGPT, you have all these things, which is great. But for you to rise up and be able to fulfill your higher potential, you need to have a structure that is greater than your ego, that is greater than your fears,
Mhm.
greater than your traumas, greater than all those things. And that structure has to be held by somebody objective to you. Right? Because if it's you, it's like you can't tickle yourself, kind of thing.
Right.
Like, if it's you, you're gonna be like, "Well, I didn't work out today. Oop, it's okay."
Yeah.
But that's why, like, so first of all, it's important to acknowledge that if you truly want to be extraordinary, you need to have, like, let's say a coach or a guide. You need to have like a structure of people that can hold you accountable to your potential. And that comes to that point. Like, as a spiritual guide in the mystical lineage, what I do is, like, I shine the proverbial light or lamp. Like, so I say, I share, I lead my clients, or I show my clients, hey, this is a way. Like, if you want to heal, if you want to live your purpose, if you want, like you said, if you want to really close that stress and have the inner peace, look, this is the way. These are the steps. And I can't walk it for you, but I can be
Right.
that person to shine the light for you, perhaps bringing in what piece of understanding or what piece of clarity that is needed. um, and yeah, and what I share is I share the path of spiritual progression on the mystical lineage, and what we in the path. This is ancient traditions, been around for thousands of years, been around as long as humans have been around. And what it's about is the path to help you know yourself,
Mhm.
know your true self. And from there, the more you know yourself, the more you know God, and the more you live your purpose. That's it. There's no shortcut. There's no, like, yeah, there's nothing. It's simple, but obviously, sorry. Um, is that me? No, that's it.
No, you're good.
Good.
You're still there.
Okay, cool.
I love it. I love it. So I wanna swing back around, right? Because we kind of started this talking about purpose, and I share with you that's like one of my favorite topics to talk about. When you find your purpose. So I'll share a little bit about my journey. You know, and like yours, mine started probably about 6, 7 years ago as well, maybe even less, but definitely within the last 5 years, my journey kind of started with what I'm doing now. Again, coming out of a space where I was dealing with depression and divorce and the death of my mom, just a whole lot of stuff happening at the same time, and really starting to feeling hopeless and helpless and have started having suicidal ideations and all of those things. So all of those things happened, I was kind of going through it at that time. But as I came through it and I was searching, for my purpose and searching for what it was that I was to do, moving forward, because definitely my life had changed, in this time period, from who I was, and the things that I was doing to like, okay, now who are you, and now what's your destination, should I say? And God gave me this quote that said, "Pain births purpose, purpose births progress, and progress is the evidence that God is at work." Right. And so when I looked on as a taking that and looking on the work that I do now, and even how this all started, it came from the pain that I was going through at that time, again dealing with divorce and things of that nature, um, that led me to figure out that I had a special connection with fatherless daughters, that for whatever reason I was connected to them. And that was kind of how this whole podcast journey even started, because someone called me and asked me to be on their podcast. And so that was the pain of it, the pain of my divorce, coming out, but also recognizing this connection that I had with with fatherless daughters, and starting to, use that. And then that kind of became my purpose. Like, okay, well, I'm going to use this. I'm going to start this platform to help fatherless daughters. And so that's what I did. I started a platform on Instagram, using helping fatherless daughters. And then that has just started blossoming into other things once people start asking me to be on their podcast. And then one of the podcasts I was on, the gentleman, we met in person for lunch, and he was like, "You should have your own podcast." And then that turned into this, now we're 200 and some episodes in, it goes in that. Yeah, it goes in, and it's like, it lives up to the quote that God gave me, like that pain gave me my purpose. And then that purpose began to, show itself in progress in so many ways now, from whether it be books that I've written, this podcast, the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which was another thing that came about out of it because of the, my connection with fatherless daughters. And so I started that podcast in order to combat the narrative of the absent father and fatherless daughter, because I'm a girl dad and I know other girl dads. And I'm like, so we are out here. There are great fathers out here in the lives of their daughters, and so I started that podcast. But again, all of that is just like coming out of that and began to show itself with the again on this journey, which, I thought, well, I'm just going to start this one little, Instagram channel. And then, like we said, on the journey, as you get to each level, it exposes more, and so I started with that Instagram page, and now I have like 3 Instagram pages and, 2 podcasts and, all of these things, just on that journey of finding my purpose and then walking into it. And the more I walk into it, the more it opens up even more. And so, we talked about that, starting this whole thing about just being on that journey. And so on this journey, on your journey specifically, and even on the journey that you kind of lead your clients through, what are some of the things that you may have seen in your own journey, that you can say, good, because you mentioned it earlier about the breadcrumbs. And again, I know that purpose leaves clues. Like, there's little things along the way that you recognize. So now on your journey, being as long as you've been doing it and as far as you came, what are some of the things that you can look back now and say, yeah, there was these couple moments But I look back now and I'm like, yes, that journey, it was always there. I just hadn't recognized it yet, and now you're walking in it.
You mean like before 6, 7 years ago?
Yes.
Um, well, yeah, as I said, like I always felt like I was here for reasons, and so for the longest time, up until I think high school, even maybe college, actually, I thought, okay, well, I know that I'm really blessed, right? And I got a lot of educations. My parents really took care of that, and so that really helped me. I was from Vietnam. I was able to come to the U.S. and study in the U.S. and then get a job here and
Mm.
then settle down here. So I remember thinking, okay, well, if education makes people's life better, I think I wanted to do something with educations, but I never wanted to be a teacher. Like that's never appealed to me in any way. And so I thought to myself, well, maybe like people read more books. This is like, think of, 10-year-old logic, right? Because back in the day I was reading so many books. So if people read more books, maybe they will be better. Like the life will be better. And so for the longest time, I wanted to have like a coffee shop with a library that I don't know how I was going to make money with it, but like people can come and read books for free, and somehow I would have been able to sustain myself. And who knows, maybe that could happen, right? But at some
Yeah.
point. But that was my longest, that was my plan for the longest time until I found the path, and I saw how powerful this transformation of this path could be, to help people transform their life. And then I'll say, okay, this is what I'm doing. But the shift, when I look back, I knew that education was important,
Mhm.
right? But I knew that I didn't want to be a teacher in the traditional sense, in like the schooling system. But what happened now is I've become a spiritual guide and a teacher, and
Yeah.
I share Hermetic understanding, which is understanding of God and the universe without the pollution of the human mind. I share, again, I share spiritual training, spiritual mastery, understanding on self mastery, all different things. And so I am a teacher. I'm in front of people.
Yeah.
It's just not in the way that I thought, because back in the day I did not know that this was possible.
I love it. I love it. So you mentioned about the path to peace, and that you also have a Facebook group that you are starting, and so tell us a little bit about that platform and that group, where you are now leading people to come to.
Yeah, sorry, my earring fell off. Yeah, so it's very new Facebook group, at least at the point of recording. And right now,
Mhm.
I'm not even promoting it publicly yet. I'm just kind of inviting people that I meet in real life. And it's called Live with Purpose, and this is a group or an online community in which I share weekly insights on what it means, what it looks like, and what it takes to create a purposeful life. So yeah, it's different insights. I sometimes ask questions. I also share upcoming events. Most of the events are in Visalia where I live, but I also do online monthly meditation, and that's something that can be accessed by anybody in the world.
I love it. I love it. Ling, I want to thank you, first of all, for coming on and for sharing your story and your expertise. I want you to have the last word. I want you to leave us with a word of advice or inspiration, however you feel, right? And also with your social media handles and things of that nature, where we can find you in order to work with you. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my audience, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys are checking us out on our website, the Deal to Heal, dealhealfulfill.org, which is our main website. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org. Make sure you guys are checking us out there. Also, make sure you guys check out my personal website, earnestjamesspeakslife.com. Again, that's earnestjamesspeakslife.com, in order to find out more information, to have me to come out to be a speaker at your school or organization, or even to lead a workshop there. So again, that's Deal to Heal. I mean, that's Ernest James Speaks Life.com. Make sure you guys go check us out there, as well as on our main website, which is the Deal Heal Fulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org. reconnecting.org. Make sure you guys are checking us out there. Also, ebooks by ejames.com is no longer a thing, right? We used to have the website ebooks by ejames.com where you can find all of the ebooks that I've written, but that website is no longer here. But you still can have access to all of the ebooks. Actually, you can have access to all of them 100% free when you join or when you check out our school platform. Again, that's the Deal to Heal School for Living. You can scan the QR code in the upper corner of our podcast. If you're watching, if you're listening to this on a podcast, go to the descriptions, click the link for our school community, and you will be able to get access to all of our ebooks absolutely free. So make sure you guys go there to be able to check out all of the ebooks. Also, deal2healtees.com, which is our inspirational t-shirt line. Make sure you guys check us out there. Again, that's deal, the number 2, healtees.com, deal2healtees.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go there and check out our inspirational tees, including our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Also, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month, talking about all areas of forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world even, because we believe that forgiveness is a major missing part in our lives today. And so you guys can go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop. The workshops is absolutely free, but the information is priceless. Make sure you guys go there and check out our free virtual workshops at forgivenessmission.com. Also, last but not least, I am proud and happy to announce that we have started our nonprofit organization. We have started our nonprofit organization, Deal to Heal the World Incorporated. Again, that's Deal to Heal the World Incorporated, because we want to be able to do more things in the community to help the community to deal, heal, and fulfill, which is our mission. But we wanted to do it absolutely free for the community. But as you know, there is nothing free. Everything has a cost. So again, if you can go to Deal to Heal the World Incorporated in order to give us a donation to help us to be able to cover the costs needed to do the workshops and the events that we would like to do in the community, to keep those things free to the community, or at least at a minimal cost to the community. Make sure that you guys go look into the descriptions. The link will be there to make a donation for the Deal to Heal the World Incorporated, which is our new nonprofit arm of the work that we do. So make sure that you guys are checking us out there. Again, Ling, I want to say thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for sharing your voice and your expertise. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ernest. Or E. James. So I wanted to kind of bring back to the name of your podcast, Deal to Heal. I really like it because most of our problems come from us avoiding problems, or avoiding our fears, avoiding our doubts, or avoiding ourselves, really. And so if you can learn to deal with your problem, not just deal with your problems, but deal with the right problems and solve it as needed, that will be a really key skills to have inner peace. It will also be a key skill to have to be able to live your purpose. And so, I invite you to really step into like that person who faces their reality and truly deal with what it is that they need to address. Now, life is always going to be, there's always going to be things to look at. There's always going to be problems to fix, right? And so the key is to know what is the core issues that are creating the reality that you live in. That's really where the deeper spiritual healing and spiritual work comes in. What would life look like if you step forward and choose to face your reality and deal with what you need to deal with, and live your purpose. That's the last one that I would like to leave you with. And if you want further support and further clarity from a trained spiritual guide to really be able to address higher, deeper core issues, so that, and remove all these things so that you could actually be clear on your path to live your purpose, you're welcome to find me at my website, linhle.co. So linhle.co. As I mentioned, I mostly see people in person in my office in Visalia, California. But I also have some online offerings as well. And my Instagram is at linhle.co. Thank you so much, James.
No problem. No problem. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed.
Oh, enjoy.
Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.